Hey guys, so it has been a while since I have been on here. I know you guys have missed your um, monthly readings for each sign for February and for March. Let's see, I just see myself on here. So I'm in a different spot than I normally am. I'm sure you can probably see. I'm at my desk instead of at my table. So I can have my computer here also. So, there we go. Okay, so now I can see, like, in case, hopefully this will help me, like, not miss comments, because there's a delay. So we'll see. Either I'll see them here or I won't. Hold on. Oh, yeah, I don't want to mess up the sound. Let me mute this. 1 second. There we go. Okay, good. So hopefully I can catch comments on all of these here. Okay, so you guys, where do I start? There's so much to say. Okay, so this video was a request. Oh, there's a delay there too. I guess I'm just gonna have to deal with delays. It is what it is. So if you're joining me, say hi so I know who's watching. This video is a special request from a wonderful, amazing, beautiful, dear friend of mine, Miss Megan Riley. You can check out her Facebook page at Megan M. Riley, and I think it might be her website too, I'm not sure. Anyway, Megan M. Riley, she's an awesome friend. She's also an intuitive, and I love her dearly. And so she had asked me the other day to speak on Saturn in Aquarius. This is something that's coming up in a couple days. And you know, I had to laugh because I had been thinking about it for a few days before she asked me. And so it was kind of like perfect, spot on timing, and very much fits the whole Saturn in Aquarius situation anyways. Why? Because, like, the big things about Saturn in Aquarius are everything's connected. Number one, that's going to be one of the big themes about Saturn in Aquarius, is that everything is connected, which is always the case anyways, but Saturn in Aquarius is really going to be speaking to this concept of how everything is connected. And I'll get into that a little more in just a minute. So when I say that, it's like, okay, so I've been thinking about speaking on astrology, and I had been avoiding speaking about a lot of it too, for a couple of reasons. Well, number one, February, I didn't get the readings out because I was sick. I was sick for all of January and February. March, I could have done the readings, but I chose not to because I was struggling with how to speak about the current astrology. And I've actually been struggling with it probably since November. Like, since starting in November is when I really started having this heavy sense of, which is going to be a Saturnian sort of energy. It's the heavy responsibility sort of feeling. I'm going to get into some technicality kind of stuff here, and this is the stuff where I know I tend to lose a lot of you guys, but stick with me please, because I want to provide this information for context, because I think it will help explain a lot of what I'm going to be getting to. Hey Michael, thanks for watching. I'm just getting started on talking about Saturn in Aquarius, but I was saying I want to provide a lot of context for this, just because I think it will be helpful. And I know that this is kind of the boring parts of astrology for people. The parts that I know you guys like are the more, what does this mean? But I think it helps with the what does this mean. Even though this may feel a little boring in textbook for you guys in the beginning, please just stick with me. And if you absolutely can't, that's fine. Watch on the replay, put hashtag replay if you're watching on the replay, and you can fast forward through some of this context that I'm going to be providing. But I really truly feel like the context is important, because I feel like it helps explain a lot of this. So, for me, what I feel the big theme of Saturn in Aquarius is everything is connected. This is something I felt my entire life. In fact, when I was 21 years old, I got a tattoo on my ankle, which actually means, it's a symbol, and it means that everything is connected. So this is like something wait, how old was I? 21. So this is interesting because, no, that's something else. There's so much going on astrologically. So there's another conjunction that happens about every 20 years, which would have been when I was 21. Either way, there's so much to talk about. It's so hard for me. This is why I've been avoiding doing videos for a while. Number one, because 2020 is such a big year astrologically. Like, I do not want to instill fear in anybody. That is never ever the case. In fact, I want to preface this too by saying this. I'm wearing this necklace, which I think may be a surprise to some of you, especially those of you who know me know that I don't really do jewelry. I don't like jewelry. I don't wear jewelry. Even though I have my ears double pierced, I like wear earrings maybe once every 10 years. Maybe for like a couple hours. And that's it. But I'm wearing this necklace because I really, really wanted to reinforce this concept of not instilling fear in people, because I really just am not aligned with that. I don't believe in that. I don't agree with that. Even though I know as a human being, regardless of what the sky is saying, regardless of what's happening in astrology, like shit happens in life, right? And we got to talk about those things. Sure, yes. But it's never, ever, ever with the intention of instilling fear. So, okay, I know there's going to be a lot of context that I'm laying the ground, I'm laying down a lot of context here, so please just bear with me, guys. Everything's connected. I got that tattoo when I was 19 years old. No, 21? 19. Who knows? I was 21. I was 21. Okay, so which means everything's connected. And I really feel like that's going to be one of the big things that's playing out here. And I'm really grateful that Megan had asked me to talk about this Saturn in Aquarius, because it's probably one of the more positive things that's happening astrologically in the sky for 2020. And I'm really grateful for that, because it is always my intention to be empowering with the words that I say, even when I talk about a difficult situation, even when I talk about a difficult aspect astrologically or whatever, because we all know as humans shit happens, right? No matter what. And sometimes we have to talk about difficult things, and that's okay, but it's never, ever, ever to instill fear. And so back to the necklace. I'm wearing this necklace to kind of reinforce this concept. So this necklace, I got, so first let me say this. My absolute favorite astrologer is Nadia Shah. I love her so much. She is so beautiful and so knowledgeable. And she's the one who I've taken the majority of my courses through, her Synchronicity University. And what I love about her too is this one thing that she says all of the time, and I want to share her message with you guys because it's so profound and it's so beautiful, and it's needed more in 2020 than it's ever been needed before, but it doesn't diminish that it was ever needed before. And what she says is, the universe is wise and loving. The universe is wise and loving. She always says this, and I love that. I've always loved that she says that. And so that's what this necklace says. And so she had partnered with a jewelry company to have these necklaces made, and I was going to buy one, but being the practical tourist that I am, I was like, man, I'm never going to wear it because I don't like jewelry. I don't whatever, blah, blah. Not that all tourists don't like jewelry, just me specifically. I don't really like jewelry. But I really liked the necklace. And so I kept not buying it. Again, this is a story that I'm telling you guys because I feel like it also fits the energy of everything is connected, which is this Saturn in Aquarius, which is coming up. I'm going to get to it. I promise I'm going to get to it. So hang in there with me, guys. Okay, so last year sometime she had written another book, and I ordered the book. I pre-ordered the book, and by pre-ordering the book, you got like some bonuses, and this was one of the bonuses. And I thought, see, I had wanted this necklace for a while, even though I knew I would never wear it because I don't do jewelry, but I love the phrase. So the necklace says the universe is wise and loving. You guys probably can't see it, but it's written. It's actually like carved out. The universe is wise and loving. So I ended up getting the necklace as a bonus when I pre-ordered the book. So that's pretty cool, right? It comes full circle. Everything's connected. I ended up getting it, and here we are talking about Saturn in Aquarius, where one of the big themes of Saturn in Aquarius, at least for me anyways, and how I interpret it, is everything is connected. That's one of the big things. And so there's a lot that goes along with this too, right? And so that's why I wanted to add this message that when things get rough, I want everyone to remember that the universe is wise and loving, right? Because things get rough sometimes. And 2020 is going to be a wild year, a really freaking wild year. Yeah, as we know, we've started out, you know, even in January, there was a lot of stuff astrologically happening, like the entire year of 2020 is a wild year astrologically, and a lot of really big stuff happening. And so a lot of it I was avoiding talking about, and I didn't want to talk about because some of it's really difficult. And the largest part of what's difficult about it is change. And even with that, like, change does not even begin to cover it. Like, change is the weakest possible word that I could probably use to try and explain the big things happening astrologically in this year of 2020. And since November, I was like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to talk about this with not scaring people? Because I do not want anyone to be scared. There's absolutely no reason to be scared. There's reason to be mindful. There's reason to be human. We're all human, right? There's reason to be honest. There's reason to be kind and loving. And there's reason to remember that the universe is wise and loving. And there's reason to remember that everything is connected. And that's how we get through this, okay? So I'm really grateful that Megan asked me to talk about Saturn in Aquarius, which is coming up in a couple days. So I'm still getting to that. I know this is a very, very long thing, sort of getting to it, but I just feel like context can often be helpful, and reminders are helpful, at least for me anyways. And if they're not for you, that's perfectly okay. They are for some people, and if it's too much babbling, you can always come back, watch the replay, and fast forward through some of my babbling. So with that, Saturn in Aquarius. Okay, so the heavy things that are happening, like the difficult things that I was nervous to talk about, is the conjunction between Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto. This is what's happening on and off throughout the year. And that's the big stuff that I've been nervous to talk about. And I'm probably not going to talk too much about it because we're going to see how it's going to play out anyways. And I did talk to a couple of friends that, like, you know, back in November, December, January, like, talking about it, starting with some conjunctions that were happening in January, and then saying in March, the shit's gonna hit the fan. But here we are, right? So how do we deal with this? Luckily, we are blessed with Saturn changing signs out of Capricorn. So this is the big thing, you know, with Saturn, Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto, all conjunct and all in the sign of Capricorn. This is something that has not happened since, I don't know if I even need to put the year or not. I mean, maybe I will, I guess. I have it here somewhere. Almost 4,000 years. So the last time Saturn, Jupiter, there it is, November 1894 BC was the last time Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter were conjunct in the sign of Capricorn. And so this is, like, you know, unprecedented times we're living in as far as that goes. So the nice thing about this is Saturn is moving into the sign of Aquarius, right? So Pluto and Jupiter will still be in Capricorn. This is just very heavy energy, and I'll explain why again, and I promise I'm getting to it. I get that I'm babbling, but I promise I'm getting to the good stuff. So with Saturn moving, even though these three planets are still conjunct, Saturn's moving out of the sign of Capricorn into Aquarius, bringing a little bit of levity with it, right? Capricorn's an earth sign. It's heavy. Saturn is like, I'm going to get into explaining what Saturn is in a minute, but it's heavy energy, right? And so Aquarius is lighter. It's an air sign. So we're adding a little bit of dose of air into this, making things a little less heavy, which is nice. So a little bit more. Okay, so when I'm saying, everything is connected, that's one of the big themes that I feel for Saturn and Aquarius. Also changes in the air, right? Aquarius being an air sign, and the conjunction of Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto all being about change, and change being like the understatement of our lifetime. We will be seeing things this year that we've never seen in our lifetime before, and we'll never see again in our lifetime anyways. So that's huge, right? And change can be scary for people, especially for a Taurus like me, for an earth sign, for a fixed sign, right? Those are the people. If you're an earth sign or a fixed sign, change is a little bit more difficult for you guys than the rest. And it doesn't mean that change is a bad thing. Change can be an amazing thing, especially when you're getting out of a bad situation. Or when things have just outworn their stay and it's time to move on, right? But even so, change is difficult for people and can be scary because sometimes what you're changing into or moving into is unknown, and that can be scary. And even though change can be a good thing, it can be difficult because there's a transition phase that happens. So this is all kind of heavy stuff, right? But we're all going to get through it. And always that reminder, what Nadia says is the universe is wise and loving. I love that she says that so much. So other words that kind of I've been hearing recently, that fit the energy that are bigger than change, right? Because change is like, yeah, change happens all the time, but 2020 is like change just isn't a big enough word to describe it. It's more like reset. I've been hearing the word reset a lot, and that fits the energy. Restructuring fits the energy of this type of change. And kind of like doing things that you haven't done before. It's that kind of newness, that kind of massive change. Okay, so now I'm going to get into the specifics. So Saturn, right? We're going to be talking about the planet Saturn, which is a big planet. It's further away from us than other planets. The further away a planet is, the longer it kind of has an effect on us. So Saturn will stay in a sign for about 2.5 to 3 years. And so it's been in Capricorn for a while. Saturn entered the sign of Capricorn December 19th, 2017, where it has been this entire time. And in about 3 days, right? 18, 19, 20, 21. Yeah, in 3 days, on March 21st, Saturn will be moving into the sign of Aquarius. So this is a big shift. In what, right? And what does Saturn represent, and what does Capricorn and Aquarius represent? And that's what I'm going to talk about here. So now we're getting to the good stuff. So Saturn rules the planet, or is the ruling planet of Capricorn. So Saturn in Capricorn was like an extra heavy dose, right? Because Saturn also rules Capricorn. So Saturn is the god of time and old age. Saturn is about the legacy that you want to leave. Saturn is kind of like a father figure or an authority figure. It's this like heavy dose of realism. It's like a reality check. Saturn is kind of like the parent or the authority figure that puts the kibosh on your exciting plans because of whatever dose of reality. Like, oh, so excited, I want to do this, right? And then it's like, yeah, but you got to do your chores first, or you got to do this, or this probably isn't very realistic. Let's be realistic about this. It's kind of like the buzzkill to some degree, but it's the responsible authority figure, heavy type energy. So you know, but on the good side of that, it's about persistence, it's about patience, it's about determination, and it is a good thing to be responsible, right? Like, we don't always want to just be reckless. So, so it's also about respect. It has to do with earning your own self-respect, and it also has to do with earning respect of others. So Saturn can place restrictions and limitations on you. Like, yeah, I want to do all these things, but these are the things maybe need to be in place first, or like, that's the energy of Saturn. So Saturn also has to do with healing our fears, facing our fears, because it's that dose of reality that's kind of like, oh, I got to deal with this kind of thing. And it's also about wisdom gained through successes and failures. So while Saturn was in Capricorn, all of that I just described was applied to the aspects of Capricorn, which is like established structures like education, healthcare, government, even time, right? Authority figures. So a heavy dose of realism in the education system, a heavy dose of reality in the healthcare system, a heavy dose of reality in government, established structures, right? A heavy dose of reality about how respect works among people, and a heavy dose of reality about self-respect. Capricorn is about willing to do the work that's required, and willing to take whatever steps are necessary and whatever action is necessary to achieve the desired outcome that you have, right? So Saturn in Capricorn was about really buckling down and having a reality check about what needs to be done, being willing to get done whatever it is to do what you want, right? And so the awesome thing about that is you can get a lot done. The tricky side of that is you could be plowing down people in the way. You could be hurting other people in order to just get what you want. Like, that could manifest in some cases for some people, doing whatever it takes, right? So doing whatever it takes can be a good thing, or it can be hurtful to others as well. So Saturn in Capricorn was also about sustainability that leaves a legacy, which is great. But it's kind of heavy energy. It's like heavy dose of stuff, right? It's heavy responsibility, heavy restriction, heavy pressure. It's a lot about trial and error, you know, like failing and pivoting, and then continuing to be determined and persist through things, and gain success and respect in those ways, right? So where Saturn is in your natal chart, and also I guess where it is in the sky currently anyways through the transits, can indicate like what you're willing to work hard and tap into, and it can also indicate where you feel vulnerable, where you feel insecure, where you feel restricted, and also where you want to be respected, right? So this is what people were sort of working through while Saturn was in Capricorn. Now, on the 21st, in 3 days, Saturn will be moving into the sign of Aquarius, and it's an air sign, so it's going to be adding a little bit of levity. And here's the nice thing. One of the big shifts about this is it's moving from doing whatever it takes to get the outcome that you want, which could sometimes, in some cases, for some people, I'm not saying everyone, but for some people that manifested as hurting others to get what you want, or mowing them down, like whoever's in your way, who cares, just you do what you got to do kind of thing. Moving into the sign of Aquarius, it's more mature. Aquarius is adding to the picture. Saturn in Aquarius is adding, it's like Saturn applied to Aquarius, right? Which brings a higher consciousness with it. And this is what's super, super cool about Aquarius. So Aquarius is this amazing dichotomy of individuality and humanitarianism. So it's so unique, right? Aquarius is so unique in that they're very, like, think of the people you know who are Aquarius, right? Right off the bat, some people might be thinking cold, emotionally distant, asshole, right? No offense. I have a lot of friends who are Aquarius and I absolutely love you guys to pieces. Um, and at the same time, I can see where these energies can apply. Now, sure, we can all do this no matter what our sign is. We can all be an asshole no matter what our sign is. We can all be emotionally cold or distant no matter what our sign is. But Aquarians are eccentric and unique, and they're very individualistic. And this is what's so interesting about the dichotomy about it is they're also very humanitarian. And so if they get to be themselves, right, which they do, it's the energy that Aquarius brings is individuality. I get to be me in all my strangeness and in all my weirdness and in all my eccentricity, right? Aquarians are very like almost to a rebellious degree, they're themselves, right? They really march to the beat of their own drum. They really value their inner authority. They listen to themselves. They believe in themselves. They go against the grain to a large degree. Like, no, I'm not going to do that, or no, I'm not into that, or whatever. Like, that's a good thing to a large degree, right? They're very, very independent, very unique, very eccentric. They can be analytical. They can be great thinkers. They can overanalyze things sometimes, right? We all can, sure, but this is very Aquarian energy. Let's see. What else? They have a deep commitment to their inner voice, right? Um, so intuition really, I feel like, comes along with this as well. Even though they're an air sign, and even though, you know, they're different from Pisces as far as intuition goes, um, Aquarius still has this like amazing ability to almost in a rebellious way go against the grain so much that they're like, no, this is what I think, this is what I want. They are amazing inventors. Aquarian energy is very much about invention and technology and new thinking, new ideas, new things. So for Saturn to be moving into this is that whole responsibility moving into this area now is indicating this idea of feeling of responsibility to be yourself, and responsibility for humanitarianism. And so it's so interesting. This is what I mean by everything is connected. By you being yourself, you're also being an example for other people and giving them permission, in essence, to be themselves as well, which is a very humanitarian thing. Aquarius really just cares about things on a global level. Like a lot of environmentalists happen to be Aquarius. It's pretty amazing, right? Like people who genuinely care about people often are Aquarius. Aquarius really cares about people, even though they can have a cold and emotionally distant feel to them. They really do care about people. And so this is what's super awesome too about this shift that's happening, right? It's a maturing on some degree, like because Saturn is mature and responsible, and moving into the sign of Aquarius, I feel like there's this maturing of healing of codependent patterns, right? So where before, doing something to achieve the outcome that you want could include like a lot of codependent patterns, right? So how does codependence show up? By not being yourself, in essence. Any form of codependence is in essence not being yourself, right? It's changing yourself to fit something or to get the outcome that you want or to whatever. So not being yourself in essence is very codependent. Being yourself, being uniquely yourself, which is very Aquarian energy, kind of brings this energy of healing codependent patterns. So I feel like a lot of people are really going to be going through healing a lot of codependent patterns, maturing, stepping into themselves in a bigger way, which can be scary at times, right? But I also feel like it's going to also become more comfortable, and everyone's going to be doing it, right? So Saturn has this influence on the entire Earth and for a long period of time. And we're going to get a little dose of it, and then we're going to go back to Saturn in Capricorn, and then we're going to be in Saturn in Aquarius for a long time. So we're getting a little dose of it right now. So just a little bit of specifics again. So on the 21st, Saturn enters Aquarius, March 21st at 9:58 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. Now it's going to stay there for a while, a couple months. And then Saturn goes retrograde. It's still going to be in Aquarius for a little bit, right? But Saturn starts to go retrograde on May 10th at 10:09 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. And then it retrogrades back into the sign of Capricorn July 1st at 5:37 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. Daylight time. Words. Oh my gosh. Okay, so Saturn will be in Aquarius March 21st until July 1st. So we get like a 4-month test run of what it feels like. Starting in a few days, we get a 4-month test run of what it feels like for Saturn to be in Aquarius. This is going to be very much about doing what's right for you, being yourself. Aquarians can be very isolationist as well. They like their time. They like their alone time. They like their space, which is a good thing, right? And so this is what I mean by everything is connected. And this is what I love about the dichotomy of Aquarius is when I take care of me, I'm better when I'm around you, right? This is how it's individual and humanitarian, right? When I do what's right for me, when I get to be myself, I show you how to do that, and I give you, in essence, permission, unspoken permission to be yourself as well. It's about non-judgment to a large degree, and you being yourself and letting others be themselves as well. And then when you take care of yourself and you get your needs met, you feel better, you act better, you in essence have an impact on humanity as well, right? When you have what you need and then some, you can share with others, right? You can have these humanitarian efforts that happen. Which is amazing. And again, how everything is connected. So we're going to have this 4-month period of what it's going to feel like. Then Saturn retrogrades back into the sign of Capricorn, July 1st, goes direct in Capricorn, September 28th at 11:11 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. And then it enters Aquarius again. December 6th of this year at 10:03 p.m. Mountain Standard Time then, because we'll have a time change, where it will stay until March 2nd, 2023. So for about 3 years. Well, 2 and a half, 2 and 3 months, 2 years and 3 months. So that will be like the full phase of Saturn in Aquarius, December 6th through March 2nd of 2023. And then it'll enter the sign of Pisces. So we get this 4-month taste of what it's going to be like. And then, what is this? My phone is doing weird things. So this is going to be happening a lot too. What is this? And my phone is doing weird things. Why? Because Aquarius is about technology. This is some fun stuff too that I'm kind of excited to talk about. Technology. So Aquarius is like invention and technology. So in this 4-month period, and then in the next like 2+ year period, of December to March of 2023, while Saturn is in Aquarius, there's going to be exponential growth in inventions of things and in technology. So when, is this where I want to go? Am I ready for this? Yes. Okay. So the last time Saturn was in Aquarius, just to give you guys an idea, because this is really interesting. And again, it talks about how things can be difficult and still good at the same time, right? Again, the universe is wise and loving. So no matter what is going on, we are supported in being wise and loving. And that's very Aquarian as well. They're like, Aquarians are very wise. They use their inner wisdom. They're very smart. They're very intellectual. They're thinkers. They're inventors. So this is all of the stuff that we're going to be getting to experience, right, with Saturn in Aquarius. So the last time Saturn was in Aquarius was February 1991 to January of 1994. So if you think about some things that may have been happening then, the Gulf War was one. I'm not saying we're going to be in a war, right? I'm not saying that. Yeah. But it was a time where things were difficult, right? It was a time where things were changing. It was a time where there was a lot more happening on the news. Like there was a lot more news coverage of the war then than there was very much of previous ones. So technology, this is what's really, really big. The last time Saturn was in Aquarius was pretty much like the birth of the internet, where like the World Wide Web actually went public for people to use. That was in August of 1991. In August of 1991, that's when like the World Wide Web was like open to everyone to use. That's huge. That changed the world, completely changed the face of the world. So another big thing that happened was the dissolution of the Soviet Union. That changed the map of Europe. That's huge, right? So these are big changes, and this is what I mean in 2020. Like, we've got massive change coming, and I don't know exactly what it's going to look like, but we're all going to find out together because we're all on this Earth ship at the same time. And everything is connected. So this is the thing, like, follow your inner wisdom, listen to your intuition, connect with your own inner voice, like, know that you're smart, right? Like, connect with this part of you, like, connect with your own self-respect and knowing that you're able to invent things, right? And knowing that you are able to have these new and brilliant ideas, like the internet, right? So like something that big could be coming. Let's see, there we go. My Instagram feed came off for a minute. We're back. So for something as big as the internet to have come out during the last time this happened is huge, right? So what huge thing could be coming out now? I don't know, but something huge I'm sure will happen in the way of inventing things, right? So this is another thing. I feel like a lot of people are going to be doing things that they haven't done before. You're going to be doing things differently somehow. It's going to manifest differently for all of us, but it really is about higher consciousness, about stepping into your own inner authority, listening to your inner wisdom, your intuition, stepping up, becoming your own authority to a large degree. Better together, shake up, wake up. Yes, Debbie. Hey, Kate, is that you watching? Oh, goodness. So I'm talking about Saturn in Aquarius, and I'm almost done, I think. But if anyone has questions, they can ask. Hey, Kathy. So if you guys are like, for anyone who comes back and watches on the replay, put in the comments #replay. If you have questions about anything, put them in the comments. I'll make sure to try and get to them. I've talked about a lot. I don't even know how long I've been talking for. It's been a while. This is an interesting thing too. I feel like things could be changing as far as time goes, because Saturn is like the father of time. Now, this could possibly, there's so many ways things can manifest. And I don't know necessarily how things are going to manifest. But with this amount of massive change happening, and this reset and restructuring and doing things you haven't done before kind of energy, and Saturn being like the god of time, like the way we view time, late to the party, but so happy to see your face. Oh, thanks, D-Love. I gotta talk to you. I haven't talked to you forever. I've been in hibernation phase for a while for a couple of reasons, and maybe I'll talk about that a little bit. I did in the beginning a little bit, and maybe I will at the end again, we'll see. But with Saturn being like the god of time, and all of this like changes in the air, everything is connected, massive reset, restructuring, and doing things we haven't done before, like time is included in that, right? So this is massive change, reset, restructuring of education system, healthcare, government, and time, authority, in resetting who we are on an individual level, resetting like how we interact with others, resetting humanitarian efforts, like massive changes in these areas. It's so big. It's so big. And change can be scary. And I get that. And so this is that dose of reality that Saturn brings. That sure, things can be scary, change can be scary. And with the Aquarian energy, it's all about humanitarianism. It's about giving a damn about yourself, and it's about giving a damn about others. And is Saturn usually bad or good? Seems so rough. So I have to say both, Kate. I feel like Saturn is both because, and it's all about our perspective. Now, this is the thing too. I always say we have free will and choice in how we're going to handle any situation, right? So like we could take, this applies to every situation, to like, you know, getting out on the road and driving to go run an errand, you know, like a bus could crash into us at any time, all the way up to like massive global, you know, incidents, right? How we choose to handle whatever situation we're faced with is a choice to a large degree. And yes, we're influenced by Saturn, and Saturn is that heavy responsibility feeling. And I talked about it more earlier in the video too, so you might want to go back and watch the replay once it gets posted. Oh, and Kate, you're on Instagram, so this will be on Facebook as well. Like the replay won't be on Instagram really. I guess it will, because it'll be in my stories for like 24 hours, but it's probably easier to check it out on Facebook. And actually what I'll do too is I will I'll upload it to my YouTube channel as well, so this will end up on YouTube as well. So that's another easy place to refer back to it. So Kate asked, is Saturn usually bad or good? Seems so rough. So yes, it can be rough. And I would say both. It's bad and good. In that, you know, it's based on our perspective and what we want and how we decide and choose to handle a situation. So what it does is Saturn brings this heavy dose of realism. So it makes us face things that we may not necessarily want to face. That doesn't feel good, right? But it's probably important and the responsible thing to do to face a difficult situation. So that's a good thing in essence. And it brings a sense of maturity and responsibility. So that's a good thing overall. And it's about gaining wisdom based on our failures and our successes, right? Saturn allows us to fail and learn from it and do it again, because it provides this energy of persistence and not giving up and keep going. Learn from your mistakes and reach your successes and have this like self-respect from continuing, you know? So I would say it's more good than bad, but it's not always comfortable. That's the thing. And this is the unique situation about this too, is that this particular time that we're talking about Saturn, it's almost impossible. Nothing is ever impossible, but I'm just, it's almost possible to not talk about Jupiter and Pluto as well, because they're all conjunct Saturn. And they will be pretty much this whole year of 2020, which is other energies coming in with Saturn that makes things very difficult. And this is what I've been nervous to kind of talk about. Because Jupiter is expansion, so it's expanding all of these things and making all of this bigger, right? So it's not just on this one level, it's massive global level. So this is what I mean by change, right? It's not just a little change here or there. This is massive change, to the point where change is not a big enough word. Like reset and restructuring are bigger words that imply change on a much bigger level, right? So we are all growing up right now. Yeah, like seriously. Whether we want to or not, right? And then Pluto, right? Like Pluto's conjunct Saturn and Jupiter, and pretty much for the majority of the year. And so Pluto's like, you know, the god of the underworld. It's destruction. It's the ending of things. It's it's transformation, it's death and rebirth, it's endings and new beginnings, right? So that energy is coming along with all of this stuff. Again, making change far bigger than just change, but like endings and new beginnings, restructuring, resetting, big, 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 right? So, but this is not necessarily a scary thing. It's challenging, sure. It's exciting in some ways. It's difficult in some ways, and that's okay. That's life, anyways, you know. But this is big in that this particular like Saturn, Pluto, Jupiter conjunction has not happened for almost 4,000 years. So this is a big year for us to be alive. And I don't know exactly what's gonna happen. And that doesn't really matter. Like this year, I think we collectively are gonna see things that we've never seen in our life before and we'll never see again. And that's okay, right? It happened to people almost 4,000 years ago. It's all the ways. Yeah. Yeah, Debbie. So what matters is, again, like I was talking about this necklace earlier, is remembering that the universe is wise and loving. The universe is wise and loving. And thankfully we have, you know, this energy of Aquarius, Saturn moving into Aquarius. We've got this 4-month taste of what it's going to be like, which is, you know, really, really, really becoming more of who we are, becoming more eccentric, more individualistic, becoming more comfortable in our own skin, and becoming more humanitarian, right? Loving ourselves and loving others. Kayla Adams, so my Saturn return happens when it goes into Aquarius. What does that mean? Wow, girl, you have a Saturn return this year? Oh my goodness. Okay, wait a minute. So you must have been born between 1991 and 1994, Kayla? Is that right? There's a delay on comments, so if I don't respond right away, it's because there's a delay in when you type in a comment and when I'm able to actually see it when it shows up for me. So if you're having your Saturn return, then Kayla, you were probably born between 1991 and 1994. And so what does that mean for you? In essence, that means like massive changes in your life. And really kind of, oh wow, Kate, yours is 92. All these babies in here. I love you guys. You know, this is an amazing thing too, is like with Saturn being like the god of time, like for me, I don't notice time. Like the other day I went to the pharmacy and I was just like, I have no idea what day it is, but it kind of doesn't matter. So is this me too? Yes. Kate, then yes, you'll be having your Saturn return soon as well. In fact, I know this is long, but you know, this is an example of me doing this right now. The way I'm doing this video is like me just being myself. 1957, baby. Debbie. See, I see zero difference between Kate and Kayla and me and Debbie, and we were all born between like 1991 and 1957. 1992 and 57. Okay, so this is the thing. You do you. This is the thing with Saturn and Aquarius, and I love this. You know, I'm kind of excited that I've got Kate and Kayla here, both who will be having their Saturn return soon. Kate, I think I have your charts. I'm just going to look at it real quick, which is like, you know, me doing this right now is an example of Saturn moving into Aquarius and being unique, being yourself, being eccentric, being different, going against the grain. This is almost, so Aquarius goes against the grain in like almost a rebellious way. Like fuck what, you know, society says, how society says I should do my Facebook Live. I'm going to do what I feel like doing. And if that means pulling Kate's chart up right now, then I'm going to do that right now, right? Like there's no, like I can create whatever structure I want that works for me right now. And that's kind of part of this individualistic thing. And this is how it's all connected and how it's also humanitarian, is that I'm doing what I want to do right now. And it's also helping another person, Kate, right? And Kayla to some degree. I don't have your chart, Kayla, but again, you guys were both born in 92. So let me just look real quick. Kate. Okay. So, Kate, let's see. Your Saturn is in Aquarius. Yes. Wow. So you'll be having your Saturn return. Let me animate this. Okay, so Kate, your Saturn is at 18 degrees Aquarius. So let's see, when Saturn comes back to 18 degrees Aquarius, that's your Saturn return. So Kayla, same for you. Yours is, you guys were both born in 92, so Saturn was definitely in Aquarius for you as well. Kayla, so you'll be having your Saturn return as well. Let's see, hold on, let me move my chart forward here to 2020. Saturn, okay, so 2013, let's see. What did I say, Kate? It was 18 degrees? Let's go back a little bit. 16, okay, weeks. Let me move it weeks. Hold on, bear with me, guys. Thank you for your patience. 18 degrees. Okay, so Saturn will be at 18 degrees Aquarius, Kate, on February 22nd, 2022. So around 2022-ish is when you guys will be having your Saturn returns, Kate and Kayla. She's 91, I think. Okay, so, okay, so Kayla, I don't have yours exactly, but that's okay. So around 2022, at least for Kate anyways, February 27th, 2022 is when Saturn will be at exactly 18 degrees Aquarius, which is where it was in your birth chart, Kate. So wow, that's huge for people who are having their Saturn return during, oh, well, it's not 2020, so it's not as intense, which is good. Anyone having their Saturn return during 2020 is probably going to think they're losing their goddamn mind. But they're not. They're not. That's the thing. And this is why, like, I'm nervous about talking about things sometimes. And I have to not be so nervous about it because, you know, there are difficult things that happen in life no matter what day it is, no matter what year it is, and no matter what sky we have. And being able to talk about it and work through it and choose how we're going to handle it is what matters. Because, again, the universe is wise and loving. We are always supported. We are always able to tap into our own inner wisdom. And that's what we got to do, right? And so I'm really, really glad that Megan asked me to talk about this because overall, that's kind of the big thing that I think is happening for Saturn moving into the sign of Aquarius is this whole idea of being able to be an individual, to be uniquely you, and to be thinking about humanitarian things as well. So as uniquely you and independent and even isolationist maybe at times as you want to be, it's all also connected to the rest of humanity in an amazingly good way. So we'll have a little bit of a 4-month taste of this. And then Saturn will retrograde back into Capricorn again. And again, there'll be some other major massive changes while that's happening. And then it will go back into Aquarius again at the end of the year where it will stay until March 2nd, 2023. So overall, I think that's pretty much it for Saturn in Aquarius. Everything is connected, changes in the air, massive reset, restructuring, doing things that you haven't necessarily done before, huge changes in like exponential growth in inventions and technology. Like I said, the last time Saturn was in Aquarius, like it was the birth of the internet, the World Wide Web. That's huge. That changed the face of the world forever, for everyone. And so what kind of massive thing could be happening now? I have no idea, but I'm sure we'll all find out, right? So this is a good thing. Okay, Kayla, how do I find out what degree it is? Okay, so Kayla, if you know, all I would need to look it up is your date of birth, your city of birth, and your time of birth. An exact time is what's going to really matter. The time is important. So if you can find that, that would be great. Um, let's see. So yeah, so the last time Saturn was in Aquarius was like the birth of the World Wide Web, the dissolution of the Soviet Union, which changed the map of Europe. So, I mean, this is what I mean by big changes, right? So I don't know what we're going to see. I'm not going to make any predictions. But I'm here to talk about it along the way. And I'm here to remind people that the one thing that my favorite astrologer Nadia Shah says all of the time, and I just absolutely love, and I think it's so worth sharing, is that she says, the universe is wise and loving. And I always, remind people we have choice and we have free will, and we get to decide how we're going to handle every situation that we're faced with. And I believe in us, I believe in myself and I believe in the rest of you guys. And I've seen a lot of really good things happening, even in the midst of crises. There's always good things happening in the midst of crises. Even though horrible things are happening at the same time, there's compassion for that. There's sorrow and sadness and grieving when that happens. And there's kindness and love and humanitarian efforts as well. And I'm super grateful for that. And so we should be feeling in the next few days, maybe a little bit lighter, maybe a little bit more humanitarian, maybe a little bit more connected with our inner selves and our inner authority. This is what I was going to talk about too. Okay, so I like to talk about things in examples. Like, I like an actual physical example. I sometimes embody that example. And then sometimes I have these really silly, off-the-wall, ridiculous, made-up examples. And I did have one here, which I'm going to share again anyways, just because it's another example of how Saturn in Aquarius looks. Because all of this can get very like, blah, 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 what the fuck is she talking about? I get that. Like, I do hear a lot of your feedback a lot of the time. It's like, what the fuck does that mean? Okay, Kayla, I'll look yours up in a minute. I'm going to write it down here too, so stick with me. I'm going to talk about this first, though. Let's see, 728, 92, Columbus, Ohio. (1:23 p.m.) Okay, I'll get to that in just a minute. Okay, so my other silly example of what Saturn in Aquarius looks like is this, right? Because sometimes it doesn't make sense. I mean, it does and it doesn't sometimes. This whole dichotomy of individualism and like being uniquely you and humanitarian. How can you be individualistic and humanitarian at the same time? Right? Hey, Rhonda, thanks for watching, girl. I'm almost done with this, so you can catch the replay later, but I'm just about to explain my last silly example of what Saturn in Aquarius looks like and how it's possible to be two seemingly opposite things at the same time, which is very Aquarius. Very independent, very unique and eccentric, and like, in essence, going against the grain in a rebellious way, like me, and be very humanitarian at the same time. How can you do both of these at the same time? Like, the perfect example of this is like any recipe that you're going to make, right? Whether it's a cake or something else. So we'll just say a cake, right? So there's all these different ingredients in a cake, right? Like, there's salt, there's sugar, there's flour, there's baking powder, there's baking soda, whatever the ingredients are, right? Each individual ingredient is required to make that cake taste good, right? And so the sugar has to be sugar. If the sugar's trying to pretend that it's salt and you end up with two doses of salt instead of one of salt and one of sugar, the cake's going to taste like shit, right? The humanitarian collective is going to be shitty. It's not going to come out right if one thing is not being itself. Right? So the sugar has to be the sugar, the salt has to be the salt, the flour has to be the flour. Each ingredient has to individually be itself. Oh, I'm running out of time over here. It says I have 25 seconds left on Instagram. So y'all can come check me out on Facebook if you want. Right, so back to my thing. So each ingredient in a recipe, so for example, a cake, each ingredient has to individually be what it is. Like you have to be yourself. This is very important to be yourself. Let me just share that over on Instagram. Okay. So that's being individualistic. That's being you. That's looking out for you. That's doing your job, doing what you know. Really? Okay, let me see if this makes a difference. I'm having troubles over here. Okay, I'll be finishing this. Maybe not. My internet connection. All right, we'll see. We'll try that. Okay, so in a recipe, each ingredient has to be itself. It has to be an individual. If it's trying to be something it's not, then the recipe's not going to work out. It's going to taste like shit. And so individually, each ingredient in the recipe comes together and like feeds a lot of people, right? So this is kind of the idea of Saturn and Aquarius, like the responsibility to be yourself, to show up as yourself, to connect with your inner authority, to value your own space, and have a deep commitment to your inner voice and your intuition, and to show up in the world in this way. You can have such an impact on humanity as well. That's Saturn in Aquarius. And so that's how you can be both individual and humanitarian at the same time. It's by doing what you, in essence, know you're here to do. What feels right to you. It's you being you, right? And again, this is also going along with what I was saying before about the maturing and the healing of codependent patterns, right? So anytime someone's being codependent, and every person in the world is codependent at some point in their life, if not millions of times throughout their life, and they don't even realize it. It just happens. So anytime you're not being true to yourself, you're in essence being some level of codependent. And so I feel like a lot of codependent patterns are probably going to be healed throughout this Saturn in Aquarius phase, which I think is an amazing, wonderful, awesome thing. Yeah, so I think that's it. If anyone has questions, put them in the comments. I think I'm going to get off here now. I've been talking for a long time, and I hope all of this makes sense. If not, that's perfectly okay. Speak up. Be you, right? And it may help everyone else too. So lots of people may have the same question and just don't ask. So put questions or comments in the comments below. If you're watching on the replay, put hashtag replay. I love you guys. My internet connection is getting wonky. So I will see you guys later.